All right. Hey, welcome everyone. Welcome to the North American Collegiate Hearthstone Open. We are here on the final day of PAX, ready for a lot of Hearthstone action. We're following into the top 8 here of this event. It's run the course of 2 weekends, 3,500 players, and we have the final 8 standing here ready to fight for $5,000 in scholarships, representing 8 different schools of over 1,000 that were represented in the event total.
Yeah, and oh boy, was not easy to make it to this stage of the game. Like you mentioned, one of the largest tournament, so many players. These college students have really fought very hard to get to this point.
Yeah, making it to here is no joke. We're going to get to take a look at the bracket in just a second. And we've got all 8 players shown here. Our first match is going to be Trollio versus No Stam. After that, Sniped Again versus Terrence M. Tichu versus Quickies. Domino's Pizza versus Domino's will be our last match of the round of 8. So what's something that we can say about maybe Trollio and No Stam in our first match?
Yeah, I mean, all these 8 players have, they represent different colleges. We'll talk into them a bit more detailed when we actually get the players. But we've got Trollio versus Nostam. Here you can see Trollio's bit of a player card. Get some fun facts about him. Trollio is a first-year graduate student, and he's going to be looking into disease control. So when he isn't controlling the board, maybe he's going to be trying to control these diseases in the future, a noble profession.
Very nice. Yeah, he hails from the University of Georgia, the Bulldogs. And, it was a very tough road for Trollio. It was really a tough road for all of the players. But, it even says right there, interesting fact, Trollio, I have not spent any money buying cards or packs for Hearthstone. So I don't know what his total level is, but I imagine he has, played quite a bit to make sure that he can get the cards that he needs. But he'll have everything he needs for this event, certainly. So
that's great, a man after my own heart, since I myself do a few of the free-to-plays, and I'm sure he's good at Arena if he can get there without spending any money. And here we've got Nostam. He's a freshman, and he hopes to go into esports moving forward, as I read in his bit of a bio that he provided with us. Nostam is actually going to be the youngest in terms of school level, and up against the oldest, I believe, Trollio.
yeah, he might be kind of the young phenom of the event, perhaps. And I'm really interested to see some of the plays that he comes up with. I had some conversations with him before the event, and I got the impression that he's a very intelligent player, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that translates into his Hearthstone play and how he prepared for the event.
That's good. So let's see whether the power of wisdom or the power of youth manages to take this first match. It's going to be a best of 3, and both players have provided 3 deck lists apiece.
Yeah, the first round, the round of 8, is going to be best of 3. Once we make it to the top 4, the format is going to change to best of 5. That means that each player has 3 decks to choose from, and they won't be playing all 3 decks in their first match, but they will potentially play all 3 if needed.
All right,
after that.
here we go into the game. Trollio has chosen the Shaman and Nostam the Druid.
So Trollio's going to have the coin for this first game, and he's playing his Shaman.
We're going to see Trollio's point of view right now and what he's going to replace. Argent Commander, a bit too high of a mana cost to leave, but Lightning Storm, an interesting keep against the Druid.
Yeah, Lightning Storm is a great card even against Druid. Perhaps he has picked up on some of the latest trends with a lot of the 2 and 3 drops being more of the focus, and trying to have things stick in play for Defender of Argus has been one common thing to do with Druid.
That's right, and now we see Nostam. He's thinking about replacing all of the cards. Wrath is probably the card that he would most consider whether or not to keep. It is a pretty good card against Feral Spirit. What do you think? Would you keep the Wrath? Would you toss it?
It's hard to mulligan away Wrath. I often keep one just to feel safe. But I also understand that the deck that he's playing is very focused into making sure you have that curve of drops to fill out and make sure that you get a lead on board instead of trying to fight from behind with something like Wrath.
That's right. Nostam, as we saw his hand, did have the Shade of Naxxramas, which is one of those cards which is gaining popularity. I'd say pioneered by Colento. Would you agree with that?
I believe that Colento helped popularize it, but he would say that the deck was given to him by Strife Crew. So it really is kind of a Cloud9 deck, if you want to think of it that way. And so it sort of came from the mind of Strife Pro, and Colento ran with it and did very well and brought it to the rest of us.
Well, Nostum with a good start. He's starting with that Creeper, and he is going to follow up with probably Shade of Naxxramas, a very strong 2-3 opening.
Yeah, Nax is all over this game so far. The board is dominated by Nax. Double Creeper, and it looks like we're going to see a Shade as well. So 100% Nax cards out of all three. I don't think that trend is going to stick forever, but definitely a good start for the Druid. If you are going to draw a Shade of Naxxramas, the time you want to do it is early.
That's right. Oh, man. Well, this is one of the few times he's going to be able to clear it with just Lightning Storm. Do you think it's too early to use it, or is this a fine time? He's going to be able to kill 2 guys guaranteed with it, and that guy's stealth.
Actually, he'd be tempted to play the Unbound first to help it grow. But if you don't Lightning Storm now, that Shade is going to guaranteed trade with something, and your Lightning Storm is not going to be able to kill it later. I would be really tempted to just pull the trigger on the Lightning Storm. If he doesn't, I understand. And I'll be interested to see how it plays out.
The other choice he's thinking about is the Earthshock Coin Elemental, or even the Earthshock plus Creeper. Earthshock on the Creeper is pretty good. Gets rid of 2 1/1s.
Yeah, so he...
Oh, wow.
Oh, he decides to do both, so he doesn't want to... Okay, I see. He wants to clear the board outright. It does consume the coin. That is an interesting line of play.
It also consumes the Earthshock. One of the things he could have done is just Lightning Storm and then send the 1/2 Creeper into one of the 1/1 spiders, which I think would have been a better card, since basically you used the coin and used Earthshock to kill 1/1.
Right, and all he's doing is protecting his Creeper for it. So he would have a 1/1 Creeper against his opponent's 1/1, but with Earthshock in hand. So
and
I
the
guess
coin.
He's considering sticking the Creeper in play at full health to be more valuable than the Earthshock. I'm not sure if that's necessarily what I would do, but it definitely is an interesting line of play. It does keep the full value Creeper there, and maybe he just wants to ride that as much as possible.
Right. I mean, I'm a bit notorious for my love of the coin, but it's like, oh man, coin and Earthshock just for a 1/1. Nostum here is going to continue forward with the Golem. He had the choice of keepering the Creeper, chose not to take it though.
Yeah, he could keep her to stay on curve, but I understand, wanting to hold on to that effect. He wants to hold on to it and use it for something a little bit more valuable. Clearly, Nostam doesn't think the Creeper is that amazing. Trollio wanted to hold on to it, and he's going to let him. He gets to stay on curve now, Nostam does. This next turn following up with a Druid of the Claw. So he's back on curve. It looks like he has a pretty strong sequence, pretty strong draw moving forward if Trollio can't get a lot of pressure going.
That's right. Staying on curve is good. It lets you spend all the mana, and he does have a very good 6 and 7. Trollio drew Flametongue Totem, which is a really good card considering how many minions he's going to have soon with both of the 100 Creepers.
Yeah, those Creepers, the Spectral Spiders behind them are possibly going to get really, really angry next to that Flametongue Totem.
Right. He's got a number of possible plays here. Flametongue Totem is going to allow both of the Creepers to trade with the Druid if he chooses to do so. He could try to Hex, since that card is one of the bigger cards in the Druid. He's thinking about the Azure Drake too. A lot of choices here.
I really think he might be concerned about Swipe. Playing the Flametongue Totem is definitely very tempting. It guarantees that you get good use out of it right away. It would let him hold on to the Hex as well. But he's just going to fight for the board. He's just going to let things keep trading, which is okay too.
Right.
But it saves resources in hand, but it gives up initiative.
That's true.
The Druid player is going to be able to sort of, make the first play here.
Right, he happily plays Cairn right on curve and manages to get a good trade with his 4/6 against the 4/4. But as Trollio expected, these Haunted Creepers, they stick around. So he can expect that these will be around to Flametongue Totem if he ever has, when he wants to do it.
I wonder if the time will be now. He's almost certainly going to Hex Cairn. There isn't a better target in most Druid decks than that.
Right.
Sometimes they run something larger like Ragnaros, but...
One of the things to perhaps have considered, though, was using the Hex afterwards, so that if he wanted to clear the Harvest Golem as well.
That's a good point. Now, if he wants to kill that, he has to play the Flametongue Totem. He can't just play the Unbound, and maybe he would have considered doing that. The Unbound play would have given up the front end of both Creepers, and would have been very, very soft to swipe, which is something he may have considered. So now he's got an exposed Flame Tongue Totem, but as far as he knows, his opponent has to at least invest 2 mana hero power to kill it.
It's true. Looking at that entire sequence, it is possible for his Haunted Creeper to have traded with the Golem if he also used Earth Shock, which would protect the Flame Tongue Totem, which I think would be worthwhile consideration. One of those important things to think about before hexing.
Generally, I consider the Druid versus Shaman matchup to be one where it's a bit of a slugfest and you are trading resources the whole game. And certainly we're seeing that in this game already. And one of the things that helps the Shaman trade better with its resources are things like Hex and Lightning Storm. And the way the Druid stays in the game is by drawing things like Ancient of Lore to continue to have resources to keep pumping out and eventually gain an advantage.
Ancient of Lore, my absolute favorite card. Warms my heart as a control player. One of the best value cards around. Trollio has picked up a Hex. No great targets right now. And he's looking a bit of a tricky turn because the Argent Commander doesn't
It might not fit exactly, yeah. Looking at 2 Harvest Golems, Argent Commander no longer is a very exciting play. He may be forced into it anyways, or feel like he's forced into it.
That's right.
That's exactly what's going to end up happening.
It was basically either that or both unbanned elementals, which I think is also a consideration of a play. This does allow him to make pretty good use of the Argent Commander, deal 3 damage with it when it comes into play. That's fine. And he's got an Earth Shock to finish off one of those.
It does continue to trade down resources, which is something the Shaman player usually wants to do. His hand is not that amazing, and we do know that No Stam has the Ancient of Lore in his back pocket ready to go. So even if he is able to trade down just about everything, the resources are not stopping from No Stam. He's just going to keep slamming hit after hit.
Yeah, Ancient of Lore, a very key card in this matchup, just to be able to continue on. It draws the Innervate, which is going to allow him to get out a Wrath if he chooses, or even a hero ability is perhaps fine. One of the reasons why Argent Commander, not the most exciting play, is because this Harvest Golem is going to be able to clear it off. And that's a good deal.
Yeah, Innervate definitely a card that helps the deck flow. He now has a lot of options this turn for what he wants to do. He can save the Innervate if he wants. He doesn't have to
or
use
wrap
it now.
the Argent Commander, save the Harvest Golem as well. And that's going to be quite annoying since there's no obvious way for the Shaman to release both sides of the Harvest Golem to kill both sides.
This is not the most efficient play. At this point, he basically has the Ancient of Lore and a lot of small power minions in hand and on board. So he didn't go for an efficient play. He went for the most powerful play into the board. He's trying to continue the advantage he has.
Right, Trollio with a really good draw here. Lightning Bolt when he has both Unbound Elementals. Unbound Elemental is actually a card that is starting to fall out a bit of favor in Shaman. I have seen it being replaced with Harvest Golem sometimes. It's still good, as you can see here. That's 6 mana for 6/10.
One of the reasons for Unbound Elemental falling out of favor is not because it's a bad card at all by any stretch of the imagination, but because a lot of decks right now have very good removal or larger minions. We're talking about things like Hunter's Mark, we're talking about things like Freezing Trap. When you have a Harvest Golem, because it has 2 lives, sort of,
right,
it's more likely to stick in play to use something like Defender of Argus with it.
Good point.
For Shamans trying to play against Hunters, Unbound Elemental becomes less exciting of a choice, but in a matchup like this, Unbound Elemental is as great as it ever was.
We've got just continued on-curve play by the Druid. He's just continuing to put out hit after hit, thanks to that Ancient of Lore. And Trollio here is running out of gas. No card draw from the Shaman whatsoever so far, one of their weaknesses. And he's left with just this Defender of Argus and Hex. Hex, no great targets right now because that Spectral Knight is so annoying. He cannot be targeted, so you have to have the board control in order to kill it. But right now, the board control is slipping away from Trollio.
They're both at such a high life total, and this Defender of Argus does help trade resources on the board, continuing to do so. So when No Stam has to bash his minions into Trollio's, if he doesn't draw on something like another Ancient,
oh man, that Defender of Argus is so big there.
That was a sick draw, and if Trollio's able to find something like his second Lightning Storm, he might be able to clear a lot of what the Druid has going. And if NoStam were to not draw another Ancient of War, that would be a path to victory.
Right,
As it stands, NoStam definitely does have the initiative here and does have an advantage.
That's right. Has a stronger board for sure. That 5/7 is going to have to be dealt with only by the minions. And right now, all Trolio has is 5 attack worth of minions with nothing to buff it so far. What he needs is Flame Tongue Totem or perhaps Rock Biter. And even then, he'll still have to deal with all this monstrous stuff. A good placement of Defender of Argus.
Well, he does get a Flame Tongue Totem. It is a powerful card. Hex is sitting there going, please, can I make that guy a frog? Please? Please? But it cannot. Spectral Knight, powerful, powerful ability. Fairy Dragon re-upped. He's just so huge when you get Defender of Argus on that guy, a taunted, untargetable fellow.
That's right. The Taunt Totem, probably one of the totems that was slightly better, but right now this is not looking so great for Trollo. He's just out of cards, and the Druid has a much better board.
Yeah, I really think if we were to look back at one of the decision points that Trollio had, the turn that he played double Unbound Elemental, if he had used his Hex on the 5/5, I think that would have helped him a lot. He wouldn't have had as much of a board presence, but he would have traded more effectively with the cards that he had. As it stands, he's sitting here looking at a Hex that he can't use.
Yeah, or even something like looking way back to the first few turns, he had that coin Earthshock play, and as someone who loves the coin so much, like perhaps on a middle turn he could have played something better. Small plays like that could decide the flow of the game.
And perhaps in this game they did, but that Spectral Knight is crashing in for 5 damage to the face now. It's not going to be long before Trollio doesn't have any good answer to what NoStam is doing. That Hex still just wants to take care of that Spectral Knight. It can't. It looks like Yeti is probably not going to be good enough. Right now he has 5, 9, 10, 11, plus 6. So is he dead? Did we win? NoStam might have the victory ready to go. He's going to count it up. He's going to see if he's got it. That Spectral Spider not even going to crash into the Spectral Knight. Not quite good enough. Yeah, he says, I've got it. The win is here. 15 damage, no problem.
That's right, and congratulations to Nostum for taking a very important game 1. He's almost there. This is, again, for those joining us, a best of 3 single elimination in this top 8. So Trollio is going to have to choose his second deck and be able to beat Trollio, or to beat Nostum's Druid deck, as well as whatever he's got next.
Yep, first game going to NoStam, the Druid deck. So we'll be seeing that one again for game 2. Trollio is going to have to find a way to answer that and have something that can win against whatever NoStam has left in game 3.
That's right. Hunter's a pretty popular choice these days, and what do you think about Hunter versus the amount of minions that this new Druid is going to have?
So Hunter is a popular choice, and it looks like that is the choice that he is going to make. We're going to be able to get into the game in just a second here. And Hunter has in the past been favored versus Druid, but the current versions of Druid, this one that we see with Echoing Ooze that NoStam is playing with the Creeper, with 2 Defender of Argus, it actually shores up that matchup quite a bit and brings it a lot closer to 50-50 than it used to be.
That's right. What about the argument that he's got Echoing Ooze that makes 2 guys? That's going to be so much worse against Unleash the Hounds and like Starving Buzzard.
You know, one of the things the Hunter deck is really great at is beating, in a way, anything that you can have. Echoing Ooze is really great against Freezing Trap, but really weak against Unleash the Hounds.
I see.
Single minions are very good against Unleash the Hounds, but very poor against Hunters.
Right. Nostum has decided to get rid of both Ancient of Lores and the Savage Roar. Those are late game cards. And we see Trollio tossing away all of these not good standalone minions. The Timberwolf might be an indicator.
Deadly Shot.
Deadly Shot. So it looks like a bit more of the controlling type of Hunter.
So NoStam is going to have the strong early minions. I'll be interested to see if Trollio does decide to play tracking on turn 1 here. Considering you drew both, I think you almost certainly should.
That's
just
right.
to try to not have your curve disrupted. too
Huh,
much.
he's got to be deciding between Unleash and Web Spinner. Given that this Druid has a lot of minions out with cards like Echoing Ooze and Creeper, I think Unleash the Hounds is the right choice here.
Yeah, Unleash is probably too powerful not to take. Web Spinner would give you something to do next turn, which feels good, but Unleash is one of the ways that you're going to win the matchup.
Right. Nostum has the opportunity to start off pretty quick. Gonna take it and coin out a 2-drop and then follow it up with a Creeper the next turn.
Yeah, he's not wasting any time. He decides to use his coin to get an immediate presence. He's got another 2-drop to follow it up. He might just have hero power on turn 3, but the deck has a lot of 3-drops and Innervate, all which could help fill his curve by the time he gets there. So he's not afraid to just use the coin now and get a presence out there.
All right, Troleo draws a kill command, so he's got a lot of burst at the end. But one of the problems with drawing all the burst at the beginning is you're often going to have to use it somewhat inefficiently to trade it off. And another tracking finds the other piece of the combo. So, hooray tracking.
Hooray tracking. Do you have more experience with the Hunter side of Hunter versus Druid or the Druid side of Hunter versus Druid?
This Druid deck is something that has just recently come into popularity. It started coming into popularity right before I came to PAX. So I haven't had much opportunity to play against this, other than in a recent tournament, it brutally beat me 3 times in a row.
Yeah, I have some experience losing to the Druid deck as well. I've been able to beat it a few times, but when you're the Hunter player and they have the early minions and you don't, sometimes you feel like you really are falling behind really fast.
Yeah, I mean, tough spot for Troleo, has no play, so he has to just hunt, just hero ability. He's not going to really have a play in the next turn either.
Yeah, we'll see what he draws. Something like Animal Companion, anything to do would be good. If he draws nothing, I would not be surprised to see him use a kill command on one of the...
On the
Echoing
1-2,
Oozes.
oh boy, is he going to do it? He considered doing it last turn. You saw him mouse over. Nah, you don't do it. I mean, it creates another... You can do the Buzzard Unleash. It's only 1 attack. You definitely don't.
Yeah, it would only be the cost of 1 life in the immediate, and it would end up giving you another card next turn.
And a dog.
And a dog. But it also is something that you won't be able to kill very easily, so ultimately it's going to probably be more than just 1 damage.
Oh yeah, and of course we see that under Troleo's portrait there. We have him representing the University of Georgia, which we have represented by the Unleash the Hound symbol.
The good news, yeah, University of Georgia Unleash the Hound's getting ready. No Sam actually it has another turn without a great play here. He has to either hero power again for the 2nd turn in a row, or just play one of his Keeper of the Groves, and you not have access to that effect, just to sort of advance his board in a weaker way.
That's right. In a way, this match has gotten off to a weak start versus weak start, so that's good for Troleo since he's managed to slip into turn 5 despite playing against the Druid who coined out something on turn 1, played a turn 2 follow-up. Hyena, High Mane, and Owl.
This is Troleo's first real play of the game, turn 5, the marquee combo of the deck, but he's facing down small minions that he can't really kill very easily.
Right.
And he's at 20 life against a Druid who's going to be coming up towards his larger plays soon. Could definitely be a scary thing.
Even though Troleo has 9 cards in his hand, his options are actually rather limited. Next turn, he's going to pretty much have to play Savannah High Mane. No other combination of cards currently seems like it works too well. And the other problem with these Unleash the Hounds is they're up against 1-2 minions. So if he trades into the Spider, like not even the 3 dogs is going to be able to completely finish off the Creeper. Such a durable card.
The University of Georgia Bulldogs get in there, but they're not able to clear everything away. The remaining Spectral Spider take out the Buzzard. Loatheb, no spells for you. I have to imagine we're just going to see a High Mane next turn.
Absolutely. One of those times where the Loatheb doesn't actually limit the options. I was going to do that anyway, says Troleo.
Yeah, but he was going to do it anyway on a turn where he's already at 18 life, so it is an uphill climb. He certainly has the resources in hand, and Innervate drawn for no stamp.
Oh man, here we go. Nostum is going for the throat. Playing the Treants right now. Troleo cannot be feeling good about that. He's just hitting the face, setting Troleo down to 5. And one of the big problems with Hunter is no life gain.
And, you know, He's found the winning line of play. At this point, if Trollio can't put together 29 damage, he's going to die to swipe next
Right, one
turn.
thing that I didn't even think about was the Innervate Hero ability, and he set him to 4, and that is to prevent something like a Houndmaster to prevent taunt, so he can just swipe the face. So
He has Houndmaster, he can kill command the 5/5, but it's not going to be enough. No Stam
right.
has the swipe ready to go. Yet another win for the Druid, and really, really strong play for No Stam, actually.
that's right. I really like that Innervate Hero ability. I don't think that's too obvious a play, and knowing when to go for the throat with surgical procedure.
I really feel like once he drew the Innervate, he knew exactly what he wanted to do. And he didn't hesitate, he just went right for it. He knew that it would end up with as a winning line of play. It seemed pretty straightforward for him. And yet another game to the Druid, first match. No Stam, 2-0 with Druid.
Yeah, so congratulations to Nostum. Nostum is represented the Farmingdale State.
They're the Rams.
They're the Rams.
They're the Rams. So the Rams beat the Bulldogs, unleashed the Hounds, the University of Georgia. Not his day today. So still, congratulations to Trollio for making it here. Again, this is the North American Collegiate Hearthstone Open. And these players, everyone who's here, got here through a 3,500 player double elimination bracket. So congratulations to Trollio.
That's right. And to some extent, like even though this is tacky, all the players who made it here are kind of winners. They are managing to like get over to the PAX free of charge, stay at a nice place, have some fun. Like I'm having fun over here at PAX. How about yourself, Reels?
Yeah, PAX has been a great event. I'm so glad to be here. We're hanging out in the Twitch TV area right now, and it's an amazing event. There's so much going on. Lots of wonderful people to meet. Good food in the area. It's just been wonderful. So we're going to head out to a quick break, and when we get back, we'll start getting ready for match number 2. Welcome back, guys, to the North American Collegiate Hearthstone Open. We're here on the last day of PAX. We just saw No Stam take down a 2-0 with his Druid deck against Trollio. So we're going to be headed into the next games. What have we got, Trump?
We've got Sniped again against Terrence M. And just looking at these two players' profiles, I'd say like they were some of the more experienced players in this matchup. Sniped again will bring up his card. He is from the University of Massachusetts Amherst, and he is one of the few. He's the player here who has qualified for Blizzcon already.
Yeah, Sniped again, the only player who has qualified. He qualified through, I believe, an NA Zotac Cup. And he did it during Season 4. He actually was in the top 16 with a few days to go on the ladder,
but he qualified through the tournament and said, oh, well, now I don't have to qualify on the ladder.
And for him, in his bit of an interesting fact, he says he's pretty good at Go as well, which is a nice little, I think it translates to Hearthstone. You have to have that strategic mindset, the ability to think some moves ahead in order to play both games well. And we've got Terrence. Terrence is from the College of Staten Island, majoring in accounting. And, you know, you got to be pretty good at counting in order to be good at Hearthstone.
Too true. And he actually has a lot of experience putting that to good use. Terrence is a long-time card game player. When he was younger, he spent a lot of time playing Pokemon and then moved on to, I believe, what was it? It was Yu-Gi-Oh! And he has a lot of competitive experience in those as well. He's one of the most experienced card game players among all of the competition here today.
That's right. So I expect this to be quite a high-level game. We've got the already qualified Sniped again against the professional card game player already, Terrence. He's played card games for 13 years. That's over half his life already.
No joke. So we're going to be headed into the game, and we have a Rogue Mirror match for game 1.
Yep, Miracle Rogue versus Miracle Rogue. In fact, of course, Miracle Rogue being the type of deck which is just going to try to draw a bunch of cards and kill with Leroy and Shadow Step and etc. We're looking at Terrence's hand first. He's got Azure Drake and Lotheb. His experience tells him to keep Lotheb in this matchup. A good call.
I really like both of those 5-drops in this matchup. And the 5-drop minions are really, really powerful when you have the coin, because you get to leapfrog your opponent and play one on turn 4.
That's right. Sniped again has managed to get at least one good card, Azure Drake. The other 3 are duds currently, but hopefully he's going to be able to find some things to play in the meantime.
Some really quick turns taken here at first, not much going on. Sniped again does have those 2 preps, and those are what you were talking about. They're blanks right now. If he ever draws Gadgets and Auctioneer, it will turn into real value.
Yes.
Pure value, even, you might say.
Terrence M picks up Preparation. He's going to have an interesting line going forward, since he has Edwin Van Cleef and the coin and Preparation and a spell.
He decided not to use his coin to play a turn 2 Edwin 4/4, which I understand. He's going to hold on to it for later. It's one way that you can gain the initiative in this matchup, but usually you want to do it with the 5-drops.
Fan and Nav cycled by Sniped. Terrence plays the Deadly, and he's going to coin Edwin. That's pretty strong.
Oh,
6/6.
so he does want to use the coin for the Edwin, which now it's not just a 4/4, it's a 6/6 that represents even more resources that his opponent won't have to throw into it if they really want to kill it.
That's right. And I like the 6/6 quite a bit more than the 4/4 since it plays around Eviscerate. Doesn't play around Sap, but plays around Eviscerate, which is the important part. When sapped, Edwin Van Cleef can come back stronger than ever before.
Yeah, so if your opponent saps your Edwin on turn 3, turn 4, would you be willing to use your Shadow Step to play it again as a 6/6?
That's an interesting line. I think it is worth considering. He just plays the SI7 agent, but I like your saucy play there, Reels.
I would have at least considered it, but Shadow Step is really, really powerful once you do draw Leroy,
right.
So he holds on to it.
Wow, Sniped again has drawn into a really good hand. What looked like a dud hand at first has played Azure Drake into Gadget Zan with 2 preparations in hand.
Gadget Zan is a huge draw. Terrence, he's got a sap, he's got 5-drops, so he's got a lot of play, but he's going to have to be facing down that Auctioneer before he knows it.
That's right. He's got 2 major lines of play here. One is going to be to clear the Azure Drake, and then perhaps play his own Azure Drake. The other is going to be the sap, and then perhaps develop Edwin through some means.
Now, considering you don't have in hand an Auctioneer of your own, how willing would you be in this situation to do something like play Azure Drake and use your preparation to Blade Flurry to have all 7 power in play with the initiative?
Huh. Interesting play.
It looks like he's going to decide to do Lotheb instead.
I'm not sure about this. I like saving the Lotheb myself until after the Gadget Zan has been played.
Yeah. Now, the Gadget Zan would have gotten a lot the turn it was played because he does have double prep. So he's taking away that play right now, but Sniped again does have a good play. We're going to flip back to him.
Yeah, I mean, Terrence also had the opportunity to kill off the Azure Drake. Looks like he has chosen not to, though.
Yeah, he's got Azure Drake number 2 here. So he does have a strong play into the Lotheb turn.
Yeah, that is a really good play from Sniped again, and Terrence M going to be like, I didn't manage to stop anything.
This is going to leave his Auctioneer wide open the turn after. So he just takes out the 3/3, leaves his minion in play.
Oh, Terrence M draws his own Auctioneer. Doesn't have the Conceal yet, which is the key card that he wants to play with it. So he's going to try to hold off for a bit, play his own Anti-Freak. Ooh.
And another preparation. That's actually good news considering he did draw the Auctioneer. And it looks like he's going to make the play that I was considering last turn, and it's still going to be good this turn.
Yeah, even better this time. Takes out 2 Azure Drakes instead of just 1. And that's going to be a lot of damage, even. That's just going to be a lot of damage with just a simple Loatheb.
It's a huge amount of damage, and he still has that Shadow Step in play. He did not decide to use it earlier.
Snipe manages to draw the Conceal, and he's going off with this Auctioneer on this turn. However, he's got to feel a lot of pressure considering he's at 15 health.
I wonder if he'll decide to do something like prep Sap that 5/5, how worried he'll be about that damage coming in, because it will let his opponent replay the Loatheb, but maybe he's willing to let that happen. He decides he's even going to backstab his own guy. So he's just really digging hard as he can for as much damage as possible. He realizes he's at 15 and he needs to turn around the game.
That's right.
Starting soon.
And I think the Sap on the Loatheb is an excellent call, because otherwise you die to something like Leroy plus a 4 damage spell, which is commonplace.
Yeah, I agree. At 15, you can't leave 5 in play. So he decides to Sap it. That does mean his opponent will be able to replay it, but at least Auctioneer is concealed, so it's not going to get eviscerated. It's not going to get sapped.
Right. If there's one thing that was a bit risky, it would be backstabbing, because it leaves him open to something like Blood Mage Dominus, Fan of Knives, or Blood Mage Dominus, Blade Flurry, or Azure Drake Blade Flurry. But he's taking the chance because he feels like he's up against the wall, and pays off for him.
Yeah. Terrence makes the play, Loatheb go. So now Sniped again. He's got a Loatheb of his own, and he's going to play. Now, he's going to have 2 large minions in play to his opponent's none, but he is at 14.
Yeah, I mean, sapping a Loatheb definitely hurts.
Draws Shiv. So if you're playing in Terrence M's shoes, what would some of your considerations be here?
Unfortunately, can't play the Gadgets, and I mean, based on the Loatheb being played, his options are actually quite limited, so it looks like it is going to be Earthen Ring, and then perhaps Edwin Van Cleef as just a 4/4.
Yeah, I imagine that's probably what he's going to do. I think you're right. We'll see how he decides to play it. Going back up to 29 is good, but his opponent does very much have the initiative going into the next turn.
He does. Terrence M is going to be counting on that Gadgets and Auctioneer, being able to draw into Leroy to finish him off. You don't even really need Leroy considering your opponent's at 13. But he's basically looking for a 2-turn win. And we're going to see if Sniped again manages to win in less than 2 turns, which may seem incredible because Terrence M is at 29 health. But he does have the Leroy and 2 Shadow Steps in his hand. And he's got a really good board. And he's going to be able to clear Terrence's board. Ooh, I'm surprised at the no... Oh, I see. Nice. Locking down Terrence M with the Loatheb.
It's actually a really, really interesting play. He decides to use one of his Shadow Steps. He realizes that next turn he probably doesn't need both Shadow Steps with Leroy. He just needs the one in order to kill him, assuming his opponent can't do anything crazy. And if he's locked into just playing minions, this could be the game right here.
Right, that's a really good call. And one of the things, when you're watching and being able to see both hands, you don't quite realize how important it is to do the Shadow Step, because for all Sniped again knows and probably predicts, Terrence M might have had the kill in his hand. So he manages to block it. Terrence M didn't have the kill. It was actually 1 turn behind on the plan. But this is really going to lock up the game for Sniped again, showing a really good mastery of Miracle Rogue here.
That was really, really strong play. I'm actually really impressed by how he set up those turns and how he played just enough defense, but still was able to turn the game around.
Sap goes on the SI7. Terrence is like, I really don't want to get that Loatheb again.
So now there's, I believe, 9 damage showing into 23. So I believe he has enough damage just to win. I didn't count it out, but I'm sure Sniped again has.
Right. All he needs is 12, which is the Leroy and the Shadow Step, and that's good. In fact, I believe he's something like 6 over. So congratulations, Sniped again. A very masterful display of Miracle Rogue against Miracle Rogue.
Yep. If you are working on your Miracle Rogue play, I hope you took notes this game. Sniped again. Easy. Too easy.
Hey, that wasn't easy. Snapped again.
No, it wasn't easy at all, but he made it look easy.
There was an opportunity, like, I think if Terrence had some set of cards for him to finish off that 12, but Snapped again
Yes.
really locked it up as much as possible.
Leroy not showing his face for Terrence, so Sniped again gets game 1. That means we're going to see his Miracle Rogue yet again. In just a minute, we'll be getting into game 2. I wonder what Terrence is going to pull out to hopefully beat both Miracle Rogue and whatever Sniped again has next.
Right. Well, one of the classes that Terrence has is, in my experience, quite awful against Miracle Rogue, so I suspect he's going to pull out the Hunter.
Hunter does have a better chance now against Miracle Rogue than it has in times past.
That's
Some
right.
of the earlier, stickier drops really help shore up the matchup.
Yeah. Unfortunately, though, for Terrence, even though Hunter is better, I still consider it slightly slightly disadvantaged against Miracle Rogue.
I tend to agree. I think you're right. Miracle Rogue, a slight edge against Hunter. Hunter still has a great chance. It's not out of it at all.
Yep. Sniped again has chosen to keep Fan of Knives. He doesn't know what type of Hunter he's up against. Could be the Face Hunter for all I know, so Fan of Knives is kept. And
Oh, wow.
we got a Snake Trap from Terrence.
Snake Trap from Terrence. And he decided to keep the bow as well. Bow, I tend to find that it's a critical card for this matchup.
Sometimes manage to do more damage than Pyroblast over the course of the game.
I figure it's at least a fireball. And
Right.
a fireball is good enough most of the time. And yes, sometimes it's a lot better than even that. Sniped again, just going to dagger up on his turn 2. He has the coin. He could play an early SI, but considering it wouldn't be killing anything, he's just going to hold on to the coin.
Right, Sniped again has a really good hand against Hunter in general with the backstab and the SI7 agent. Terrence with a kind of unfortunate draw. Nothing on turn 1, nothing on turn 2. And that's part of what we were talking about earlier about how Nax Rammus has really allowed the Hunter to be able to slide into like turn 1 Web Spinner, turn 2 Haunted Creeper, and be able to do stuff on those turns to make the matchup more favorable.
Yeah. Terrence does have a lot of damage, though, theoretically, as the game will progress. If he ever draws into things like Beasts or really anything that he can do. He's holding both Kill Command and Leroy, and he has a bow already in play. So the damage will be coming in slow and steady and possibly be able to just end with a huge burst.
Yep, he puts out the Snake Trap. Sniped again is not going to really expect that. He attacks, so he's like, it's not explosive trap. So he's probably thinking this is freezing trap right now. Perhaps why he played the SI7 agent to go into to make that be the card returned to hand.
Yeah, Terrence doesn't have a great hand against what Sniped again is doing. He does have that consistent damage, but Sniped again has finally built a presence. He's finally got a minion in play. So Terrence has to decide whether he wants to start using things that would be damage to the face as removal.
Right, and by the way, good call by Terrence. When you have that Eagle Horn bow, you often just use the first attack and then just attack the face. But by keeping that charge, he's going to be able to clear this 3-3. Knows what's up in this matchup.
Yeah, that's a good point. He left himself the option of killing a 3-3 if one were to appear. One did. Now he has that option, and he gets to make the best, hopefully the best choice for him.
He's got. Whenever you have the Snake Trap developed, some part of you is thinking, maybe my opponent will attack into the Starving Buzzard if I play it, and then I'll draw 3 cards.
It's he might go for it. I think he really might actually do that. Buzzard Unleash not quite as good in this matchup as others. I really wish I had seen him play the Buzzard. But
Well, that would have been a huge mistake because Sniped again would likely have done something like Fan of Knives or Shiv.
That's
it's
true.
just one of the things that really tempts you to do, but is not actually good, I think.
considering he has a 3 damage weapon, he almost certainly would not have attacked it. There's a lot of tension there.
That's right.
When you have a 3 damage weapon, only dealing, killing a 1 health minion.
Right.
Sniped again, sort of just cycles through. He plays both his fan and his Shiv, and so Terrence M has basically a turn work now where he has the initiative.
Right. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like he can do much with that initiative. Might just do Starving Buzzard and taunt it. All right. Sometimes you have to do what you got to do.
Yeah, and now this will be a lot more tempting to have it attacked into, but his opponent does have access to a spell power backstab. So, he's going to just play the Blade Flurry instead to clear out both.
Quite
Very,
strong.
very interesting. So now he's actually really close to winning the game just outright next turn.
Yeah, I mean, that's 6-10, 14 I see in hand.
He still might think that that is a freezing trap.
Ah,
though.
that's right.
So he
There's
might
no
hesitate
indication.
to play Leroy.
That's right. Terrence M has a lot of damage in his hand. If you count the kill commands as 5 apiece, and the Leroy has 6, that is 16.
He has damage, but he hasn't been able to soften up his opponent. He didn't have a lot of minions to play early. So if Sniped Again makes an amazing read and says, I think that's Snake Trap,
Right.
he's going
There's
to win
no
right
way.
here.
He's like, that is 100% freezing trap. This is the right call. He could have won this turn if he was psychic.
Right. I would certainly do the same thing. There's no way I'm just slamming Leroy there.
An excellent call to conceal there. He's using the Azure Drake to plan to activate the freezing trap so that Leroy can finish his opponent off the next turn. So Terrence has to win this turn.
I don't know if he's going to be able to do it.
Or taunt, I guess.
Even just a 4-4 taunt, I think he's going to end up not making it this game. It's a Leok instead, and he's got to be pretty sure that he's dead.
Right.
Either he can try some more trap shenanigans, some mental mind games to try and convince his opponent to do something wrong.
Right. The unfortunate thing is if he plays the explosive trap, and even if Sniped Again thinks that this is freezing trap, if the Azure Drake attacks into the freezing trap plus explosive trap, both traps still trigger.
That's true. Yeah, the 4-4, really powerful against even the worst possible traps in this case. He's going to check it with the Azure Drake. He's going to know what's up. And this game 2, both of them to Miracle Rogue, going to go to Sniped Again.
Yep. And he's like, whoa, no freezing trap.
He knows now that it was a snake trap all along. And Leroy, 10 power Leroy, gets in there for the win.
Right.
So Sniped Again, congratulations to him. I'm surprised that he took both games with Miracle. 2 2-0s to start off the tournament. Some really, really strong lines of play. I feel like that game with the Hunter didn't have really the things that he wanted early to stay in the game. And the burst coming out from the Rogue was really high and was very punishing. Didn't give him a lot of time to try to build any sort of presence.
Right. We see that there's common consensus right now that Hunter is an extremely strong deck. We did see Hunters lose both times. And Hunter did turn out to be pretty popular among these college players. I'd say most of them bought a Hunter deck.
They're not afraid to play Hunter. They know that it's really strong. But some of the decks that are just behind it are getting better against Hunter. The Druid deck that we saw take down the first match is better against Hunter than other Druid decks have been in the past. Miracle Rogue still slightly favored, or at least you and I would consider it to be. So we got to see it there. And Hunter, for as good as it is, I mean, it doesn't win every game.
That's right. And we'll hit it off to a quick commercial. Thanks for watching. Keep staying tuned.
So you're a group of passionate students who love gaming and want to take things to the next level on your campus. Enter TeSPA. We're the premier college gaming network that gives tangible support to the biggest and best college esports groups in the world. As your group grows, you'll be looking to put on awesome events that have your whole campus talking. Introducing the TeSPA Membership Benefits Program. Just for joining TeSPA, you'll get a bunch of sweet perks right away. We'll get you started with a totally customizable web portal and newsletter. Want to turn some heads? Personalized banners and custom tablecloths should do the trick. We'll even throw in our top secret how-to manual that will literally shower you in esports wisdom. As your group grows, you gain access to more and more benefits. Need free production equipment and hardware rentals to support your events? You got it. And big bags of cash? We can help your events out with those as well. If that wasn't enough, every member of your chapter receives a t-shirt, exclusive in-game items, and even an annual membership gift. So what could you possibly be waiting for? Make your mark on the world of esports and apply to become a chapter today.
Welcome back to the North American Collegiate Hearthstone Open. We're here on the last day of PAX. We've had 2 quick 2-0 matches to start things off. We're going to get a chance to take a look at the bracket and see what's up next.
Right. Maybe we're going to see Hunter finally win one. Next up on the match list is going to be Tichu versus Quickies. Tichu is from the University of Waterloo, and
Where is that, Trump?
where is Waterloo? The only thing I know about that quite so far is that, fun fact, Amaz was the one who was going to Waterloo. And by the way, Amaz was initially planned to cast this tournament alongside Reels. However, there were some difficulties getting him to actually here.
Yeah, Moz was not able to make it, and Trump was willing to fill in at the last minute, so thank you. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, pleasure to cast these up-and-coming superstars, rising stars. And Tichu's opponent is Quickies. Quickies is from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
So, University of Nevada, Las Vegas. So, what their mascot, I believe, did we have the name for their mascot? I believe that they are the Rebels. So they're the Rebels. So that's the most rebel card, that mind control tech, matching their mascot.
Right, Quickies is no stranger to tournament fighting. He's actually a tournament competitor who has previously won scholarships for fighting games and racing games, and now hoping to also gain a bit of prize money from card games.
Yeah, he's no stranger to big stages. Being in front of a crowd, being in front of players, playing live is something that he has experience doing. Almost certainly more experience than almost anyone else here. Terrence, who we just saw unfortunately go out in the last match, he has a lot of card game tournament experience, but Quickies probably has the most sort of esports experience.
Yeah, and that's got to be the dream, to be able to pay for college through playing games. That is awesome.
Yeah, I had a couple conversations with him. I think that he's going to be coming with a really strong lineup. The best 2 out of 3 format, it's really, really important that you make it out of there and be able to show off what your whole lineup can have to offer. So hopefully he can, show his best.
Mm-hmm. Here we see Tichu again. Some more fun facts about him. And let's see. I don't know if this is the fact that's on him, but one of the interesting things about Tichu is that he actually has something called cynophobia, which is the fear of dogs. Had cynophobia. And he got around that by having his roommate just spring a Siberian baby husky at him.
That's got to be the best way to get over it. If you're a little bit leery, a little bit wary around dogs, and someone just throws a cute puppy at you, maybe it'll help you get over it.
Yes. And hopefully Tichu can carry on that Waterloo pride. Same one that Moz went to. Let's see how he does. And we're about to go into the game. Players have made their selections. Tichu with the Hunter, Quickies with the Paladin.
Hunter versus Paladin. You and I had a discussion about this earlier, and I felt that Paladin perhaps in general was maybe slightly favored against Hunter. What do you think about that matchup?
Initially, I actually thought that Hunter was the favored one, mainly because you had all the unleash for the guys that control Paladin tends to keep. Quickies has kept his entire hand, so he's very happy with that, and looks pretty good.
It represents a strong curve. Coin, Sword of Justice, into Harvest Golem is definitely a really strong play. But Tichu, with his Hunter, is running not exactly a standard Hunter.
Right. The Leper Gnome is going to be a big giveaway that it's actually a face Hunter.
Yeah. It's a dead giveaway, and as soon as you see it, as soon as you see that Leper Gnome run into that Paladin's arms, it's a dead giveaway.
Wow,
so
Snake Trap in the deck as well. That's a little bit unusual for a face deck. Leper Gnome is actually the card that I consider the most. It's like the big giveaway on what deck you're playing. When you see Leper Gnome, you know you're about to feel icky inside.
everything changes once you see him come out. So just a quick pass for Quickies. Leper Gnome's going to be able to get more than one attack in. That's a really big deal.
Mm-hmm. In fact, yes, Quickies is going to have the opportunity to either do Pyromancer Coin, or he's going to be able to kill it with the Sword of Justice, which means the Leper Gnome has done 6 damage. 1 down, 1 mana Fireball, pretty good.
Pretty good. It's definitely a good way to start it off, especially when you're backed up by the Hunter Hero Power. He decided to use his Hero Power last turn instead of the Snake Trap.
Trying to roll Huffer. Oh.
Leok instead. Leok is still good. One of the best answers to Leok and Nisha. He's just trying to attack over and over.
Well, that is unfortunately not Huffer.
Yeah. I was going to say that one of the best answers is usually True Silver Champion, but in order to play it, he would have to give up a 1/4 Sword of Justice.
Right. One of the unfortunate things on Quickie's side is against the face deck, the Sword of Justice is actually very slow.
It is pretty slow, and considering that Leper Gnome got in as much damage as it did early, Tichu is sort of where he wants to be. He's got the opening Leper Gnome, he's got Animal Companion, so it's going to really be on Quickies to find a way to make sure that he doesn't
try to
just
get
rolled
Huffer
over.
again.
Ah,
Oh, he got it this
got
time.
there, 5-power Huffer.
Ooh, that is going to really hurt.
This represents a lot of damage. I wonder if he's considering playing Stone Tusk Boar as well. He could play Stone Tusk Boar on Hunter's Mark, clear out.
Oh, no, it's face. You don't clear out things. But Boar for 2 damage, that is a serious consideration because usually you only get 1 damage for it.
Also true. And he's almost certainly going to get the snakes.
I mean, that would be really big. You could put your opponent at 13 on your turn 4. Chooses to keep the Boar. It is an activator for the kill command if he needs it later.
That's true. And he is holding the kill command. That's probably what he's thinking about when he decides to hold on to it.
Quickie's in a
Consecrate?
lot of pressure right now.
So Consecrate kills what his opponent has, but he is down to 15. He's holding Holy Light. So he has a chance to sort of heal back up out of range. And Tichu probably is not running Savannah Highmane. We don't know yet. We haven't seen it, but he might not be running Savannah Highmane, considering he's playing Leper Gnome.
I agree. It's really interesting to consider like the main difference between the decks is instead of the best 6-drop, you put in like one of the fastest 1-drops, which really changes the flow of the deck. He's developed the Freezing Trap, which is good against the buffed Harvest Golem.
Yeah, Quickies is staring down a trap. It's going to be a freezing. He's going to see that right now. If it had been even, freezing or explosive, it's both okay. But it does buy Tichu time to try to find the damage he needs to close out the game. Quickies has to decide if he wants to fully curve out by just playing the Stampeding Kodo into an empty board. It will be a 4/6 because of the sword. And Quickies has a lot of reactive cards. The Holy Light and the Senjin both are more directly defensive, but Aldor Peacekeepers might not be really what he's looking for here.
This is a disciplined play. When you're at 13, you might just feel scared enough to play the Senjin Shield Master anyways, but he's thinking, okay, I can survive this turn. I'll be able to play it next turn. And to be able to use 1 extra mana, that could be big because the next turn, that 1 overflow mana turns into Holy Light.
Yeah, in terms of turning the game around, that might be the difference between him being able to win the game 1 turn before he would have otherwise died. So, staying on curve like that, I do like that play. Just playing the Kodo, even though you're not killing something with it. I think that's really smart. He still gets a really large minion.
Yep,
and
Tichu's
now,
close.
Tichu's considering playing that Hunter's Mark.
Actually, I think he's considering board of the Kodo Hunter's Mark. I was thinking his line of thought might have been board of the face and kill command the face.
Oh, he's actually going to play the Snake Trap. He's convinced in order to win the game, he's got to get value out of the Snake Trap. So his minion is very likely to get attacked in order to clear it.
That's right. The only way Quickies currently has of killing that without attacking into it would be something like Pyro Holy Light.
Which is something he could do, but I would think he would hesitate. He's probably not figuring this to be a Snake Trap.
Right.
He's already seen 1 trap, and it was a freezing. The most common, of course, played these days are freezing and explosive.
Right.
Sometimes you see other traps. Snake Trap is always, sometimes it gets you.
A Snake Trap, extremely uncommon in a face deck. He's got to be thinking this is Explosive Trap.
It's neither freezing nor explosive, and it's not even misdirect, which is something you sometimes see.
Snakes. And this is good for him because he does have the Pyro Holy Light, which is going to be able to take out all the snakes.
Yeah, so now he's going to be able to take care of it really easily. He found a nice sequence. He goes back up to 15 in the process. Also a really big deal.
Right, not looking bad. As we go back to Tichu's turn, he is going to have the Unleash the Hounds for 3. That's pretty good.
Also pretty good.
Ooh,
and he
Wolf
picks
Rider.
up a Wolf Rider too. So I would imagine he might just play Wolf Rider and Hero Power this turn and hope that he can do something like win in the next couple turns after that.
Right, there might have been some consideration to play Unleash just because there's a lot of guys, but he does have the Hunter's Mark to get past the taunt.
Yeah. he's going to be taking at least 8 and going down to 16. I imagine he might still think that he has 2 turns to live, though, and try to find enough damage to finish him off.
Cookies, of course, plays the taunt. He knows that this is the turn where he is likely to die, if he is, and he chooses wisely not to press that hero power button in order to not give the hunter another doggy.
Yeah, the most powerful play would have been the Aldor Peacekeeper. He's probably never going to play it this game anyways, or at least not both of them. But he's trying to play around that Unleash. Tichu does have the Unleash, so he's going to be rewarded.
1 damage off right now. 1, 2, 7, 9. That's right. So Tichu is going to have to Wolf Rider? Well, you just do kill command instead.
Well, he's not certain he's going to have a dog in play.
Right.
Of course, his opponent might have a taunt next turn, but he's basically putting him on heal or die.
Right.
I like that play.
I think I prefer the Wolf Rider myself since I think the most likely thing to get stopped by is a taunt, and you can still kill command for 3.
Well,
but in this case, it is not going to matter.
Unless they are playing double Holy Light, there's no heal they can play and play a taunt at the same time. So the Wolf Rider's going to get in there.
Okay,
if
good
they
call.
heal. Yeah,
good call. And there it goes. The hero ability goes past the taunt and finishes Quickies off. Tichu 1-0.
Aggro Hunter, turn 1 Leper Gnome, 6 damage. Fireball your face. Worked out in the end. He had a Holy Light. It was almost good enough. He probably would have needed at least 1 more heal to stay out of range. Paladin decks usually run between 3 to 4 heals total, oftentimes 1 of each heal card. And these players are just ready for the next game. Tichu with the Aggro Hunter.
Yeah.
He's going to be going second. He's
Wow.
going to be, as soon as we get in there, we'll see his mulligans.
Yeah, I mean, we have him with a double Mad Scientist. I would be tempted to keep them both. I think they're quite strong in the early game, but he tosses one of them. Tosses the Buzzard Unleashed combo against what he presumes to be a Miracle Rogue.
Yeah. Considering he has the coin, I would also have been really tempted to keep both Mad Scientists and just play them on turn 1, 2. But he picks up an Animal Companion, which is really, really powerful. Definitely the type of card you want to have.
Uh-oh, Quickies with nothing.
Quickies with nothing. He has the promise of power if he were to ever draw the Auctioneer. He's got Prep and Conceal. That's the dream, but the Auctioneer has not arrived yet.
Right.
Tichu will have very much the initiative here in this game. He will
That's
very much
right.
be the aggressor.
A very good turn 1, 2, 3 curve. The Scientist is the Bluegill into the Animal Companion. Oh, Cookies is running Sinister Strike, which is another dead card here.
Yeah, Quickies doesn't have a lot of cheap early removal yet. Nothing to speak of it. Even that Bluegill Warrior looks like it's going to represent a lot of damage if he has to use his hero power to kill it.
I mean, something that's even worse for Quickies here is his plan is, of course, going to be to hit the 2-2 and then hit the 2-1. But the problem is, here comes a Bluegill Warrior, which is another card he wanted to hit with a dagger.
Yeah.
This is like dagger overload.
Once he sees the Bluegill Warrior crash into his face, if that's what happens, Quickies is going to be hoping he draws Fan of Knives, or else you might even think that he is going to start dying really fast.
Right. Oh, Tichu here is actually considering playing the hero ability because he's thinking that he could be up against Fan of Knives. He chooses to play the Bluegill Warrior instead. I liked how he thought about that.
It's worth a consideration, and it shows that he has a good understanding of the matchup. He sort of weighed the odds, and he decided that it was better to play the Bluegill in the end. That may be right, and as it turns out, Quickies doesn't have the Fan of Knives, so it's going to work out.
Right. Tichu, actually, his choice to bring the Face Hunter here is different from a lot of the players. Like, you're going to see a lot of standard Hunter being played, and Quickies probably expected it. That's why he brought Paladin, which he thought was strong against the usual Hunter deck.
I think that Paladin deck has a good chance against the Face Hunter as well. I think that was a really close game that we saw. It was down to Tichu's last resources to finish him off, and he barely got there. But it didn't work out, and now it's down to yet another game where this Hunter aggro deck is doing all the damages.
Sinister Strike being thrown, not going to really affect the matchup that much, but who knows? Quickies might be able to put together some sort of Leroy rush the Rush Hunter down.
Maybe he's thinking that's his only way to win. He's sort of playing the hand he's got, and he knows that he has Leroy Eviscerate Shadow Step. Leok doesn't quite have haste yet. Maybe they'll change that someday. I think Huffer's probably gonna remain the only one with charge.
All right. Well, Cookies picks up Edwin Van Fleet with a 6-6. That's looking pretty promising. Conceal. He is really going for the face here.
He is really, his hand is very all in, and he's playing it very all in. If he draws Auctioneer next turn, he might regret it, but if he doesn't, he'll feel vindicated that he played his hand the best he could with what he had.
One of the traditional counters to Miracle Rogue, by the way, has been this Face Hunter deck, which you have just not seen that much of as of late. Probably because you haven't seen that much Miracle Rogue, but when you watch this and you see like how much, one of the big counters to Miracle Rogue is just the ability to pressure them. And when you see this amount of pressure, you're like, oh man, how does he stand a chance?
So, Quickies gets a really important card here. One of either Fan of Knives or Blade Flurry he absolutely had to have any chance. He gets the Blade Flurry. It's still really cheap game at this point, but Quickies at least has a chance.
That's right. Secret is Freezing Trap. Ooh, that's going to sting against that Edwin Van Fleet.
If it were something like Explosive, he could theoretically win next turn. Unfortunately, it's not.
Got the Unleash Buzzard combo, which is not very good against the Miracle Rogue. He may just decide to play it as is right now.
His opponent is sitting there at 11. This is definitely a tough choice for Tichu. He has to decide. His opponent only has 2 cards. He has to decide if he just goes all in and pushes as much damage as he can and taps the top of his deck and says, give me what I need.
He's going to go for it. Unleash the Hound. Hunter's Mark on the 6-6.
I think Hunter's Mark is probably a good choice. Even though you have the Freezing Trap, you don't have the win yet.
Right.
And so if you clear that out, you'll also be able to have Freezing Trap for whatever they play next and just hero power forever.
There is also some merit, which is why he's debating about just sending the 1-1 into the face.
It was worth consideration, and he is very close to killing his opponent, who's only at 11.
Right.
But again, I feel like the only way, if I were in the Hunter's shoes, I would feel like the only way I could lose is sort of by letting him potentially have 6 damage.
Tichu looking good. The starting Buzzard survives. Oh, we got Buzzard Web Spinner. That's going to give him the fuel he needs.
It's going to be a lot of cards in hand. He has a lot of cards that do a lot of damage. Let's see what he picks up here.
Even without, you already had 9 damage. Eaglehorn Bow, that's definitely going to get played. No, Animal Confetti, maybe that's going to
You could just draw the whole rest of the deck if he wanted to, but
he's got enough
figures
damage.
He's got enough damage.
Yep. Get the 6 damage with the bow guaranteed.
Yeah. Again, Fireball, usually good enough even just by itself. Quickies, he's got Leroy Shadow Step Cold Blood, but even that, even if the trap were snake traps, he'd be 1 move short this turn.
Yep. Fails to Shadow Step the Freezing Trap. It's like, here, let me do that for you.
So he sees it now. The writing is on the wall. He decides to go for the honorable Sudoku.
It was really hard to find self-lethal there, I think. Good job.
Tichu with the Aggro Hunter. That's the first Aggro Hunter we've seen. I wonder if we'll be seeing any more of those. It's an interesting way to approach this metagame.
I wonder if the other players are quivering in their boots because they brought the standard Hunter, which I think is slightly disfavored against this Face Hunter deck.
Yeah, I think he probably brought it because he feels that it's slightly that deck is slightly favored against the more standard Hunter decks. So it is an interesting twist. It's similar, but you know, when you've got Wolf Rider in your deck, you're attacking from a different angle. So we're going to head out to a quick break, guys. We'll have the final round of 8 match right after this. Welcome back, everyone, to the North American Collegiate Hearthstone Open. Once again, we are here on the final day of PAX. We're at the Twitch area, and we've got a few more matches left to go. We're down to the last of the round of 8 matches. We've seen the other 3. No Stam, Sniped again, and Tichu, all taking down 2-0s in their respective matches, all with 3 different classes. Up next, Domino's Pizza versus Dominus.
A very Dom game there. Dominus is... Dominus has... Well, actually, let's start with Domino's Pizza. So one of the most unique names in the tournament. We, of course, asked him, why did he name himself Domino's Pizza? And he said, there was a Domino's Pizza on my desk.
Yeah, he couldn't figure out what to name his character or what to name himself for his battle tag. He was sitting in his dorm room. He looked over, and there was a Domino's Pizza box, and that's the story.
Delicious. Domino's Pizza, hailing from kind of our home territory. Reels and I are from the Bay Area, and he goes to UC Davis. So,
yeah, UC Davis up in Northern California. Both you and I hail from there. So, you know, I won't be too biased, but Domino's Pizza, UC Davis. Hopefully, we'll see some strong play.
Right. And his opponent is Dominus. Dominus has a bit of a topping. He has a bit of a favorite topping. His favorite character is King Mukla because he likes bananas.
Yeah, you know, if any of the players here are suffering from a potassium deficiency, we know it's not Dominus. He's also, interesting fact right there on your screen, he says he's been skydiving in Israel. He mentioned that when we were talking to him the other day, and that is a really, really interesting experience.
Pretty bold.
I think I would be a little scared maybe even to go skydiving, but who knows, maybe I'll try it someday.
One of the things that we're going to see as soon as we get into the game is you have noticed that both players have been represented by logos. You're going to see both players be represented by a knight character of some sort. That's because both the University of Western Ontario and UC Davis have the Mustangs as their logo.
The Battle of the Mustangs. I wonder which one will come out on top. They both have Dom in their name. They both are the Mustangs. Only one can win.
Are we going to see a mirror match to start out with is the question.
That would complete the whole picture. But, you know, we'll have to see what they choose. I think they're both playing at least one of the same class, so there could be a mirror match if they made the same choice. But we'll see what their approach is. I definitely think we've seen some interesting games so far. Some really, really strong strategy in terms of what players are bringing. And, you know, certainly Miracle Rogue showing that it's still strong. Hunter, but not the Hunter we thought, being the one that takes down the 2-0.
This is not the Hunter you thought.
This is not the Hunter you were looking for. So these players are actually loading into the game right now. In just a moment, we'll get to see their mulligan decisions, and we'll be headed straight up into Game 1 of this 4th match.
Okay, and here we go. We're going to see the mulligan of Domino's Pizza first, who is playing Control Warrior with my favorite Baron Geddon. Aw.
Baron Geddon. He's got Baron Geddon in the deck. Really fluffy guy. You know, you just give him a hug and snuggle up a little bit.
That's right. He spreads some love and warmth to every minion on the table.
Circle of love.
I like this card against Hunter in particular because they have doggies to clear up and just low health guys. We've got Dominus with a very quick mulligan. He kept Savannah High Main, which is a very high cost card to have kept, but justified because he can start off with the Web Spinner.
Yeah, High Main is one of the critical cards against Warrior. I've played the Hunter versus Warrior side of this matchup much more frequently than the other way around. You played the Warrior side. So he's starting off pointing out a cruel Taskmaster, just getting rid of the Web Spinner. Oh my gosh.
Oh boy.
Crush. If you're going to get something against a slow deck like Control Warrior, King Crush is maybe not as high as Savannah High Main on that list of what you want, but it is up there.
That's right. You're right, Reels. I have played the Warrior versus Hunter matchup quite a few times, and it's one of the reasons why I actually stopped playing Warrior. It's because the Hunters were just beating me up.
Oh no. So Domino's Pizza going to be needing a really strong hand then perhaps, or some really strong lines of play in order to come out as a winner with the Warrior control deck. Warrior Control is very, very powerful. There's a lot of really powerful cards that can be difficult to deal with. But Hunter does have a lot of answers. A lot of ways to sort of take things out easily.
That's right. Domino's Pizza does have a good start. Has something to do all of the opening turns. Now, the unfortunate... Oh, is he considering attacking with the weapon? He thought about it. One of the things about Hunter, though, is their ability to just continue the pressure. And the big bad news card, and the card that Dominus wisely kept in his opening hand, is the Savannah Highmane.
Yeah, Savannah Highmane does seem like one of the critical cards in the matchup. If you're playing Hunter and you ever tracking and you see 2 Savannah Highmanes, you're pretty sad.
Yep. Dominus got Misha. That has got to be one of the better ones.
So he just throws down the Unstable Ghoul, armors up. It's not terrible, but he doesn't have a good answer for Misha immediately. So Misha sticks around, it's going to start to do some work. Dominus picks up a Mad Scientist, also a really strong card. How do you deal with traps as the warrior player? Are the freezing and explosive traps usually pretty difficult to deal with?
Oh, you're absolutely right there. The traps are just devastating because each time there's a trap, you almost have to think about that might be freezing trap whenever you play your big one guy, and then you can't even attack with your guy.
Yeah, I imagine freezing trap in particular is a scary thought. Even if you see a trap on the opposing side of the board, you hope it's not a freezing, but you act as if it is.
Right. Domino's Pizza had the opportunity to clear off Misha if he wanted to by attacking with the Armor Smith and his weapon. But it seems like he's found a line that he likes even more because now he can still attack into the bear, but he's going to get at least 2 armor out of this. A tough line of thought, but Dominus is choosing the board clear option, and then his natural flow with the mana is the Mad Scientist and the hero ability.
So this does leave Dominus with the initiative here. He's got 2 minions in play against just the Fiery War Axe. But Domino's Pizza does have 31 effective life still. Big Game Hunter and Black Knight are not necessarily what you want, though.
That's right. Domino's Pizza does at least have a rare opportunity to Black Knight something, which is something he's got to be thinking about. It's like, do I want to save the Black Knight, which is my only play the next turn, to hit that Misha, or do I want to kill the Misha right now? And he's probably thinking about, well, I do have a comfortable life total. So there's a debate right now to whether to execute or not, and then if not, then maybe you just shield block, armor up.
I think I'd be really, really scared. I probably would just execute anyways. I agree that Black Knight is something that you don't usually get good use out of, but considering the risk of something exactly like Savannah Highmane coming down next turn,
Right.
I wouldn't want to have that and Misha in play at the same time staring me down.
Yeah, one of the things that Domino's Pizza just did, which I was thinking about whether or not I would do in this situation, is he just did shield block over armoring up. Given his high life total, I think there might have been enough time to do the armor up instead of the shield block, which, of course, the shield block is a strictly better, powerful move right now. If the game goes on long enough, you get an extra 2 health by just shield blocking.
So Mad Scientist went down, and the trap that he got was Freezing Trap.
Ooh. And,
So-
of course, turn 6 Savannah Highmane into an empty board. That is the nightmare for Warrior. I spent many a night, like, tossing and turning in my bed.
Oh,
How do
no.
I deal with this? And ultimately, I even, like, I put Tink Master in the deck for a time.
There aren't a lot of good answers that Warriors have to something like Savannah Highmane. It usually takes at least multiple cards for them to deal with it, and Domino's Pizza just armor up pass.
Yeah.
Dominus now has full control of the board.
That Savannah Highmane, no immediate answer to it, no obvious answer to it next turn, and Dominus keeps up the pressure with a Misha.
Misha number 2, 4 health minion. Even Huffer sometimes is a welcome sight for the Warrior control player, especially if they have something like Slam or Cleave. Misha, just huge. The
Yeah.
Axe can't even deal with it by itself, so Domino's Pizza picks up a Faceless Manipulator.
That's good because you can copy one of the best minions in the game, but unfortunately it's better on the Hunter's side because right, of course, Black Knight. That poor Misha. That was
Yeah.
the worst one he could have rolled. I'd forgotten about Mr. Black Knight there.
No, it's good for Domino's Pizza that he gets to have a use out of the Black Knight now.
Right.
He's still really kind of behind. There's that freezing trap there waiting, And that Savannah High main is going to probably be able to attack multiple times as far as we know.
Right. Savannah High main. We should have like a Savannah High main damage tracker because that thing. Oh man, Savannah High main number 2.
All right, High main number 2 is here, and he's on 8 mana now with 9 mana next turn. Oh, it's definitely. I would be so tempted to just play the High main and just ready to play King Crush next turn, not even kill command the guy, let the freezing trap take care of it. I'd be so tempted.
Like, my first instinct is, of course, to play Savannah High main and then hero ability as well. Dominus, though, was just counting up the massive amount of damage he's got in his hand.
Yeah, absolutely huge. The thing is that even if he could play King Crush next turn, there's a chance he'll be able to win outright without it. And then we won't be able to see it, which is unfortunate, but Black Knight, if it attacks in any way, is going to just run into that freezing trap. He does have to get rid of it eventually.
This situation looks so grim from the Warriors side. You've got an 8-drop, which is just a 4-attack charge. You've got Alexstrasza, which is not going to... It could deal 10 damage to the opponent, but then you won't be able to finish it off. Big Game Hunter targets nothing. Execute. Even if he manages to kill a fly-in, his hyena buddies will be there.
Yeah, Domino's Pizza definitely trying to figure out if there's some miraculous line of play that can save him here. It's not going to be easy. I have to imagine that Dominus is the clear favorite to win the game at this point.
Right.
This is not the type of board you ever want to be staring down if you're the Control Warrior player.
And of course, he's got to be thinking about, well, we know that Dominus has a really good turn 9 and 10 follow-up. He was counting up the turn 9 for King Crush, of course, and then turn 10 can be kill command Leroy Jenkins for 10 mana.
It sure could. The damage is not going to be stopping anytime soon. He does trigger the freezing trap. He had to figure out what it was.
Right.
Black Knight comes back to the hand. Even Loatheb showing up now, which could even restrict his opponent further.
And that is lethal, actually, with kill command Leroy Jenkins hero ability.
Yep, so he finds the line of play that just ends it right now. It's too bad we don't get to see King Crush come out from
That's
that the web spinner King Crush. That would have been great, and it is even pretty good against Control Warrior if you're going to pick it up, but he just has all the damages.
You can imagine Dominus being like, ho ho ho, I still had about 40 damage for you.
Yeah, the damage was not stopping anytime soon. So game 1 goes to Hunter against Warrior Control. It actually sort of highlights a really strong sort of understanding of the matchup on behalf of Dominus there. Holding on to the Savannah High main, going first, right in its opening hand. 6 mana card, yeah, I'll keep that.
The nightmare of Warrior players, Priest players, Control players in general all around. And we are going to go right into game 2 right now with a Shaman being chosen as the deck against Hunter.
Wow, Domino's Pizza, no fear. Shaman versus Hunter, generally considered a poor matchup, but he's confident enough to think that he can at least get this game and probably figures that Shaman will also be his best chance for game 3.
That was a bit of a surprise. Before this tournament, I was actually thinking, well, Shaman's in a poor place right now because, whoa, Bloodless, because it gets countered by Hunter, doesn't it? Because
countered by
right, your totems are just bait for all the doggies.
Yeah, and I, considered it about the same, that you get countered in a way by Hunter. But I've talked to some players who I respect very much, and they believe that, built a certain way, that Shaman actually has a great chance, maybe even slightly favored against Hunter. I don't know if I would go so far as to say that it's slightly favored, but there's no doubt that Shaman, at least if built with Hunter in mind, has a good chance against it.
Dominus, considering 2 main lines of play here. One is the hero ability, and one is the coin Animal Companion. The Animal Companion play is stronger on this turn, but the problem is there is no turn 3 play afterwards.
Yeah, he's going to either have to have no turn 2 or turn 3, though. The thing is that if he decides to have no turn 2, he gets to hold on to the coin, which could have some value later. But either way, I think it's okay. It sort of depends on what he draws, and that's something you can't really know yet. He decides he wants the immediate action, And he ends up with Leok, which is not bad. It means that now that Haunted Creeper can't kill the Web Spinner and stay alive, so he'll get to at least kill the front end of the Haunted Creeper.
That's right. Domino's Pizza with a Lightning Bolt. He is really hoping to have a spell damage totem here if he's going to press that button. And no.
Taunterino. Not bad.
Yep.
He decides for the Lightning Bolt. Is that, would you have just Earth Shocked or would you have Lightning Bolted that, do you think?
I think I would have made the same play.
I certainly would have considered it. I think I might have as well. The Web Spinner's not going to make it through the Taunt Totem. It means that you're going to get one more block, sort of, out of your Taunt Totem. And you still can Earth Shock next turn if that's what you want to do.
Right. One of the things that Domino's Pizza has to be concerned about right now is the number of things he's got on the board. So if he gets Unleash the Hounds, it's going to look pretty ugly. So he's going to probably be looking to trade off his guys.
He's considering it now. He's deciding if he wants to go into the face or not.
And it's got to be into the Creeper because, one, you save your Taunt Totem. Two, one less guy.
Yeah, the risk of Houndmaster is also really high.
Man, we got another King Crush.
Wow, we get
What
to
are
maybe
the
have
odds of that?
another chance at a King Crush game. It could happen. Could happen. Web Spinner is one of my favorite cards, by the way. As far as cards that have random effects on them, I feel like Web Spinner is really amazing, and I really love it a lot. So Web Spinner is really cool. And he picks up a second Web Spinner, so you could even slam another one down right now.
Yeah, it looks like the only valid play right now is Web Spinner hero ability.
Yeah, there's not much else to do. He doesn't have Unleash the Hounds or anything like that yet. So Domino's Pizza is holding a Bloodlust. That incentivizes him to play as many minions as he can. And this game so far, as we know, he won't get punished for it. Dominus, considering even just playing a Houndmaster into this empty board, he would like to have some kind of presence. Hunter's Mark, Kill Command, Leroy, those don't really do anything by themselves right here. His opponent is not low enough to think about Leroy. And he really just doesn't have a great play. If he plays the Web Spinner, it's really for the promise of something else.
Right.
And playing towards future turns. But he got King Crush 2 times in a row now. He might just get an Angry Chicken this time.
One of the things when I'm playing the Shaman side, especially against Hunter, is to think about, do I want to even worry about Unleash the Hounds? At some point, especially with the Bloodlust in hand, sometimes you just have to play the game. Oh my gosh, another legendary. We've got my Exna through the Web Spinner, but sometimes you just have to spam all your guys on the board and be like, well, if he's got Unleash the Hounds, I'll be in a bad spot. But sometimes the Hunter does not hold it in the hand, in which case I'll win the game.
There's nothing wrong with going for it, especially if you feel like it's an unfavored matchup. You want to give yourself the best chance to win the game. And you don't win if you don't try to win.
Right.
So there are certainly circumstances. He actually does, Dominus does pick up Unleash the Hounds. So it wasn't there before. It's here now. He doesn't have a buzzard or anything really super powerful to go with it. And that Spectral Knight is actually looking really, really annoying right now.
That's right.
Hunter's Mark, Kill Command, they can't deal with that.
But you know what can deal with it? My Exna.
Leroy Jenkins as well. My Exna is actually a great answer. Domino's Pizza is holding a Hex back over there in his 4-card hand. So my Exna will not necessarily be the best answer this game, but it could be if he can bait out Hex from something else.
Yeah, and the bad news for Dominus is that he had no good play on turn 4 or turn 5. And sometimes you just flub, especially because of the Web Spinner. It gave 2 really high-cost cards.
Yeah, you would have had to just, again, you maybe even considered the Houndmaster into an empty board yet again. Not an exciting play, not one that you normally want to make.
Right, and a big problem with playing against that against the Shaman is the Shamans have so many ways to deal 3 damage. Domino's Pizza really developing his board. 4 guys, that's a really sweet Hound target. But fortunately for Domino's Pizza, Dominus does not have a Hound combo.
I love saying Domino's Pizza right now. Unfortunately, I do like his name, but it's got to be the people over there at Domino's Pizza are probably really happy about his battle tag name right now.
Oh boy, we've got another guy, Blood Mage Stalnos. So there is the potential to do Blood Mage Stalnos, Totem, Hex for 6 guys out on the board.
You sure could do that. That would be very, very powerful if if they live long enough to hit that Bloodlust.
That's right. Ooh, okay, so we're going to go with the Bloodlust immediately. And
I like this play too. It does save his Hex for something like a Savannah Highmane that he might be worried about. And he doesn't have another great answer to something like Savannah Highmane.
Right.
So, and it lets him use his Nerubian Egg now, which is something he would have wanted to do when he got a chance.
yep, also he traded down the board in case of Starving Buzzard, Unleash the Hounds, which Dominus actually just drew into.
Just drew into. So I don't know if he's playing an Owl. If he were to Buzzard Unleash and find an Ironbeak Owl off of the top of his deck within the first 3 cards, I think he might have a chance to get back into this game. He's been behind the whole time, and the Shaman player has had this great board presence.
Right.
And Dominus has had multiple turns of hero power go, which is not usually what you want to be doing. But if he can clear out at least one of these minions, even just using the Hunter's Mark on the Nerubian might be good enough, maybe, to hold off just long enough for some of these really powerful plays to start coming in.
Yeah, I mean, I think he needs to just play the Unleash and the Buzzard right now so you can see what he draws into. He's taking his time, which I can appreciate as a slow player myself. This is kind of necessary in order to take out the 1/1 and the 4/4.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to get better than this. And he doesn't really have a winning hand yet. And so the best way to find it theoretically would be Buzzard Unleash.
Right. Dominus is going to have quite a few. Oh, is he? Okay. Didn't matter the order, I believe.
No, he would not have overdrawn, so I don't believe he had to do it that way. But now he's under pressure from the rope, so he's going to be going through these turns a little more
Freezing
quickly.
Trap.
Freezing
really
Trap
good pickup.
is one of the best things he could have had.
Yeah, Hunter might be able to stabilize off of that one.
Domino's Pizza. How do you finish off this game?
Oh, that's a way to do it.
Doomhammer sure does represent a lot of damage. One of his lightning bolts and one of his rockbiter weapons are gone. So he decides to use the storm to clear out, and he finds out that it is freezing trap, which is unfortunate. He would have preferred that it be explosive.
Right.
He's still, the Doomhammer itself represents 16 damage, and his opponent was at 15. So if he lives long enough, he'll be able to win just off of that. Dominus has a Houndmaster though, so there's more than one way that he can stop that Doomhammer damage. If he finds something like Misha or any minion, any beast minion that can work with that Houndmaster.
Right, one of the big things that Dominus has to be thinking about, though, is basically he's dead in 3 turns at best, and probably 2 turns if he's thinking generously. So at this point, you have to start doing reverse math and start theorizing how you can finish off your opponent in 2 turns. Now, I've got King Crush happening on the next turn. So that's 8 damage. Your opponent is basically at 15. And can you do 15 damage this turn? Unfortunately, not quite.
No, you can't kill your opponent next turn from Dominus's position, and he knows that. But I think you still have to, now that that consistent threat of damage is there in the Doomhammer, I would have to imagine that it's got to be now to start pushing through. And he actually decides to play defensively. He goes for the 4/3 taunt instead of playing like the bow and a trap and a hero power.
Oh,
And his
man.
opponent draws a Rockbiter. So perhaps it's actually going to work out quite well. Even just going Hex this turn and attacking your opponent down to 9 threatens to kill him next turn if they don't present another taunt.
Correct. The thing about Hunters, and this is kind of their weakness, is they don't run that many taunts, and they don't run any heal. So usually what you see is what you get. If you do the Hex and the hit the frog and the face, it's not that likely that your opponent has an answer.
The Shaman had such a strong start this game, and the Hunter looked like they were going to be able to turn it around, but Doomhammer came at the exact right time to keep that pressure going. And we'll see if he comes up with a line of play that can get him to win next turn.
Right.
Decides to play Blood Mage and Rockbiter now instead. I have to admit, I don't agree with this line of play, but it could still work out. He does still get his opponent down quite low, but
Unless
he took.
Oh no.
He used his Rockbiter to deal 8 to himself.
That's right.
And not chip away at his opponent. So
It was
I'm
looking
a little
really good for the Shaman until that turn. Now he's run out of damage potential. He can only do 6 damage next turn. And when we look at Dominus's hand, he just drew the second kill command.
Definitely, probably one of the first clear misplays of the tournament. I think that Domino's Pizza almost certainly would have won the game, and I'm not sure what he was afraid of enough that he wanted to clear out both of his opponent's minions with basically the only things he had to win the game with.
Right, not to mention, if he's expecting to die the next turn, then it's pointless because you take the damage anyways by hitting him with
Right.
the weapon. And you're setting up to win the turn after, so the most times you will take the damage is one time
It's just
anyways.
that one time anyways, yes. And, you know, if he had hexed away the taunt and attacked the taunt and the player, his opponent would have been at 9, and he would have had 10 damage ready to go.
Right.
If his opponent didn't have a great answer. Considering how scared he played last turn, that he left a mana floating to taunt probably the beast you least want to taunt in your whole deck.
Yes.
Being the Starving Buzzard, usually you want to draw off that. Even a Haunted Creeper would have been much better from the Hunter's perspective. I really would have tried to just go for the win. Looks like he's going to push through as much damage as he can, is Dominus. And he's not really afraid of the minions because he's got that explosive trap. He decides, instead of attacking the face, he decides to attack the minion. That's a little bit suspect because, again, the trap theoretically would have taken care of it.
Right. He's afraid that the spell damage might
will
be
be
the
relevant.
one to do it. And he figures, I've got 1,000,000 damage next turn. Oh, like at worst, he's got the King Crush for 11 with the bow.
Domino's Pizza did draw a Lightning Bolt, so the spell damage would have been at least somewhat relevant. Not enough to win the game outright, but it would have mattered. He actually picks up a Taunt Totem, which is pretty helpful. That's about the best he could have hoped for. Ooh, he's going to consider attacking into the face right away. Oh no. Oh,
Ouch.
disaster.
That was...
This is going to force him to Lightning Bolt Leroy instead of using the minions to clear it. He also totemed first,
Yes.
which means that Taunt Totem is just gone. Perhaps it's nerves getting to him. He gets his opponent to 3, and he would have been able to kill him this turn. He decides to concede. He sees the writing on the wall.
That's right. Unfortunate, Domino's Pizza let this one slip away from him. And Dominus is the winner as a result, and that's our 4th 2-0.
Yet another King Crush game without King Crush getting played.
That would have been the one to win.
This game represents the end of the round of 8. We now know all 4 of the top 4 players, and I'm really curious to see who's going to come out strong in the next matches because we're moving up from best of 3, and we will now be doing best of 5.
Right. And the best of 5, these players have had quite a journey to get here. First, well, here, of course, going through some very tough competition. And these tough competitors were groomed from over 3,000 college students in NA. In fact, 3,600. There is participation from over 1,000 colleges in this North American Collegiate Hearthstone Open.
Yeah, TeSPA hosting this event, and like you said, 3,600 participants. It actually represents the largest Hearthstone event in terms of participation outside of China. So for North America and Europe and the other major regions, this is the largest event that we've seen. And they were representing over 1,000 colleges. I think, I don't remember which player it was, but if you ended up having to go down to the lower bracket early, and they played this event over two weekends, I think it was something like 24 total hours of play. It was no joke to get here, and now we're down to the final 4. And 4 2-0s, I don't think that's going to keep up. I think that these players all know what they're doing. They kind of proved it with those last matches, and we're going to be seeing what they can do in the best of 5.
That's right. And even though it must sting to get eliminated 2-0 in the first match, at least for these players, they did manage to get flown out to PAX and to participate. And hey, PAX is a great place to go, especially when you're a college student. You can enjoy all the fun activities around.
It's been really great. It's been a really great event. I'm so glad that we get to be here casting this Hearthstone event here on the last day as well. And it's really huge for these players. And like you said, even the ones who went out in the first round, they got to come and have the experience. And the round of 8 definitely went really quickly, a lot of 2-0s.
Mhm.
I don't think we'll be seeing that. The games are going to start to get longer, the matches are going to be longer, even just the fact that they're best of 5. How much do nerves start to get into it? I know you've played a lot of events yourself, and do you ever have like nerves affect you? Do you feel like it affects your play?
Nerves are definitely a factor. There's a lot of people who I've talked to who just have this. It's the feeling in your gut, that stomach, where you feel a little sick when you're about to do it. But you play enough, and that's where just tournament experience is good. I myself, since I play to an audience all the time, I'm not as afraid to go into these live tournaments where I know people are watching.
Yeah, I no longer get nervous about people watching, but I do very much invest myself into playing competitively and trying to do as well as I can at events. And I do still get those butterflies. Once upon a time, that used to affect me negatively, and I hope that more recently it hasn't in the past many years. But a lot of these players are new to this type of stage, and I have to imagine that nerves will be at least a little bit of a factor.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to new to the stage, good on TeSPA for like basically reaching out to a group which is kind of the rising bit of the game. When you start at college and even high school, there's some high school events as well. You get to get them into the game and get them a bit more into more familiarized with tournaments earlier. And of course, you can find out information about TeSPA when they do, and the North American Collegiate Tournament in general over at TeSPA.org.
Yeah. And we're now ready to just head out to a quick break. That means that they are going to be setting up the top 4 matches right after that, so stick with us.